Oh my god. My head. Oh. Hey guys. What the hell happened to my head? I'm us from the future. Oh, well, you're my future, which I went back to. Now I'm leaving back to the future. Just trust me, right? In a few minutes, we from the future will be meeting you to explain the situation. Must be the brain damage. I know it's confusing, but we have a video which you haven't made yet explaining the whole timeline, in the future. I mean, yeah, whatever, yeah. Look, I really can't stay. Just, watch the video, okay? He'll explain everything. Hey, wait! No! He's gone. Well, I guess we're gonna have to watch the video now. Never doing nothing again. And we skip that. Amnesia The Bunker is a scared feeling, mouse tracking, chase being, items looting, about fuel worrying, having a panic attack while being stalked by a monster you can hide from because he can see in a dog simulator. Developed and self-published by the studio that exclusively makes running around hiding while feeling scared type games frictional games. The Bunker was released on PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series S. Whoa. One of these can't be real. Who the hell came up with these freaking names, by the way? There's no system at all. First, they didn't go with the degree stuff because they didn't want their fifth console to be named Xbox 5760. Then they gave up on Xbox 1, 2, 3 because it sounds too much like PlayStation, I guess. Now we have this parcel tongue situation here that makes less sense than my reviews. Amnesia The Bunker was generally favored upon its release on June 6, 2023, the same day as Diablo 4, which is also a game where you are stuck in an endless circle of purgatory, desperately scavenging for items to survive while being chased by a demon, the existential crisis demon, which makes you realize that you are endlessly grinding away to make virtual numbers go higher instead of spending precious time on this earth being around your family and the people you love. Receiving very positive reviews on Steam as well as 8s and 9s from game review websites. I say it like these websites are actually credible or something. The review from IGN criticized the monster AI to be mediocre, as if their reviewers are smarter than a vegetable. However, despite favorable reception from critics, user review from Metacritic tell the different story. The first thing that came to my mind after a quick scroll on their page is a mixed bag, which sums up gamers' sentiments on this game perfectly. The second thought being a tossed salad, but can we please not talk about that? And true to the purple experience, any game that I review has to be plagued with some sort of problem that eats away at precious development time, like greedy game companies trying to cram microtransactions into beloved franchises. Oh wait, they make the store first before making the game nowadays. Video game is dead, please end my suffering. Cram microtransaction into beloved franchises, which is the case for this game because the devs were met with some bizarre problem that pushed the game back a few months. We will be looking into this in the development section of the video. But first, I love video games, and not to toot my 12 inches horn, I also have great appreciation for the process of game development. Maybe this justifies my twisted sense of satisfaction upon learning that in order to make innovations to the gameplay and avoid retreading old grounds, frictional games had to make some sacrifices to the narrative, prioritizing gameplay over story, which explains why the storyline of Amnesia The Bunker is like my father. Vaguely present. You play as Henry Clement or Henri Clement because you're French. Was that racist? Henri is a soldier serving World War I. Side note, this is such an amazing setting that rarely gets explored in video games. Maybe you shouldn't have said amazing. I didn't mean it in a sense that it was a good thing that happened, I mean like just imagine the crazy scenarios that could and have happened during the war would translate really well into video games form. Now this might sound crazy, but hear me out, okay? Nope. What did they have in World War I? Think about it. Horses, right? They were very important. So I'm thinking horse racing game. Back to the story. In true amnesia fashion, you come to your senses in an unfamiliar place after suffering from a seemingly lethal injury during combat. Your memory had also gone to buy some milk, and your objective is to escape the bunker while being stalked by a monster that resembles mangled corpses of your dead comrades. Why does this sound familiar? Have I heard this premise somewhere before? Oh yeah, every single World War I horror games ever. All of them. We don't like to do spoilers here on the Purple Experience. Subscribe. Ask you a question, right? What is the very first thought that came to your mind when you heard that premise? Right? After your injury, you're stuck in purgatory, and the monster is just you processing your guilt from the atrocities you committed during the war, right? Well, I certainly thought so. And just as I thought, like always, I was wrong. Unlike BioShock Infinite, a game which I reviewed, where the story feels like a fever dream on LSD, the actual story of the bunker is pretty straightforward, despite going the insane ancient magic route, right next to the artifacts left by ancient aliens route, the last Amnesia game went. You know, just imagine what a homeless man in a fever dream would yell at you while he's on LSD, and you'd have a pretty clear picture of the plot. Admittedly, there's a bit more to it than that. You have notes scattered everywhere around the bunker that read like a depressed teenager's diary.
I'm in a state of agony. It cripples my body, captures my mind, bleeds my soul. These fools around me, laughing, drinking, arguing. Do they know what I've done? God knows what I've done.
These notes act as collectibles, which give you some lore tidbits that paint a military FPS graphic picture of your life in the bunker, as well as the situation that you're in. You also learn about who Horror is and why he feels so guilty about what he did in the bunker. Super Mario spoiler. I have a confession to make. The reason why it took me so long to make this review and finish this game, despite it being only 4 to 5 hours, and the reason why the gameplay in this session is all jittery-like, is because I have a pretty severe anxiety disorder. And the game is pretty scary. Which I will explain the mechanics in this session, so bear with me, okay? The game is really good at creating anxiety with every single one of its mechanics. In my subjective opinion, the devs at Frictional Games have mastered the art of etching. The devs at Frictional Games have mastered the art of constantly keeping you on edge, questioning every move you make. The gameplay perfectly captures the feeling of hiding from your dad's belt. Taking inspiration from Metroidvanias, in Amnesia The Bunker, you're stuck in a bunker. A claustrophobic bunker designed with the sole purpose of putting you in a state of constant panic every time the lights flicker. This place acts as a semi-open world of sorts. Right off the bat, you are able to roam around anywhere you want, but there are blocked off sessions that prevent you from doing so to your heart's content. Your main goal is to escape from this place. In order to do that, you have to find a way to access these blocked off sessions, in which you will find items to have you access other blocked off sessions. And you do this until you find all the items to have you escape. Sound pretty straightforward. And it is. The genius here lies in a myriad of systems interconnected together to make navigating the bunker a nerve-wracking experience. Similar to Discord mod's Fear of Deodorant, the monster chasing you is afraid of light, and the lights in the bunker are powered by fuel, which is extremely limited. So you have to constantly worry about finding cans of gas as you explore around the place, which is very dark. This is where the flashlight comes in handy, but it can only be used for a short amount of time before needing to be charged by hand. And every time you do that, you make a lot of noise that attracts the monster. And when that bitch eventually catches up to you, you gotta whip out a 9. But bullets are exceedingly rare, and you need them to destroy padlocks and blow shit up. Have I mentioned that you have to individually put each bullet in the cylinder by hand? Yep, is a hardened World War I soldier that is able to survive gunshot wounds, artillery fire, and living with a bunch of French people, but turns into Joe Biden as soon as he has to reload the gun. Yeah, needless to say, this revolver mechanic alone created some pantaloon-defiling situations that made my panic attack ass had to pause the game and go touch grass. And speaking of touch grass, leave a like if you are enjoying the video, because if this channel fails, I will become a gardener. And in the future, you will unknowingly hire me to mow your lawn. But unbeknownst to you, my true intention would be seducing and sleeping with your emotionally distant wife. So if you don't want that to happen, then like and subscribe. Simple, right? This revolver mechanic, though clunky, is claimed to have been an intentional design decision by the devs. The logic behind this is quite apparent, as the unwieldy nature of the gun brings a sense of vulnerability. This ain't Metal Hellsinger or Coltec or Radianaut. You're not a gun-wielding badass tearing your way through legions of bad guys. You're just some schmuck trying to survive against an eldritch abomination. I would argue that giving you a gun actually increases the fear factor, because being chased by something that can be killed by bullets and even grenades is 10 times scarier than being chased by some dyslexic chick that you can just whack with a wooden plank lying around. On a side note, the Outlast games make no freaking sense. Your character can just pick up a stick on the ground and use it as a makeshift weapon, right? And most of the time you're just getting chased by a dude. Don't just, freaking film him, grab a rock and bash his head in. You know what I mean? Where was I? Yeah, the gun. Unsurprisingly, the intentionally clunky control is one of the main sources of criticism from gamers, though effective in creating tense gameplay moments. The floaty controls is also the main cause of frustration, the second being crack fiend Quasimodo here. Taking inspiration from Alien Isolation, where the alien is always roaming around on his own and will hone in on your position when you make a lot of noise. The beast in the bunker behaves in a similar manner. This results in a foreboding atmosphere full of dread because you never know for sure where the monster is until it's too late, and you find yourself waking up in the middle of a car ride home after a romantic date, but the driver is Sam Solek and the address is 69 Phallic Street, Pound Town, and you don't remember giving consent. The AI is not without its flaws, however. As I progress through the game, I get the sense that this is the first time that the devs have worked with something like this, since the monster behavior can feel too wonky and unpredictable from time to time. I get that people in real life don't always act how you would expect them to, otherwise React content wouldn't be so prevalent on Twitch. But in a video game there has to be some sense of coherence for the sake of gameplay, otherwise the game would just devolve into endless trial and error, a territory which Amnesia the Bunker dangerously ventures into from time to time. Wait. It's a cool video, I know, but I still have no idea how this has anything to do with time traveling and stuff. Keep watching. Because all of this unhinged rambling ultimately means that the gameplay mechanics feeds into itself, right? Creating a perfect gameplay loop that does a great job at keeping you on your toe and not giving you a moment to breathe. Between the generator mechanic, your flashlight, the Alibaba revolver, and Bell Stockholm Syndrome. Bell Stockholm Syndrome, the gameplay loop is like a circular human centipede that feeds into itself, keeping your anxiety dialed up to 11 the second you step out the safe room, which is the only place where you can feel a sense of relief from the all. If you watch a lot of horror movies, you'd know that the fear factor mostly comes from the sound design, something the devs at Frictional Games utilize really well. In my experience, my purple experience with this game, the first 2 hours were the most scared I've ever felt consuming a media product. And this is saying something because I watched the entirety of Cats without trying to gouge my eyes out even once. The game certainly tries its best to immerse you into the world through the sound design. Fundamental sound effects are good, though seemingly by design underrated. From the ambient hum of the underground bunker to simple sounds like the creaking of a door or a desk drawer. Together, these are only enough to get the job done and evoke a sense of familiarity. But they also serve to make strange noises stand out when the sense of familiarity is broken. Enough to give you heart palpitation from sheer paranoia when you hear the noise the monster makes when it's in your general vicinity. My season is pain, fucking end me! Unexpectedly loud and an assault on your hearing perfectly describes the revolver and hand grenades, which further add to the sense of immersion of the game, as you can't expect having explosions going off next to your ears in a confined area without selling your house to pay the hospital bill. Except you can, because it's the American healthcare system. Having played the previous Amnesia games, I can subjectively add that the audio is the best it has ever been. Who would have thought that a company that only makes horror games is good at creating suspenseful situation that you're in? Here you can save your game anytime you want by lighting this lantern here. There's no auto-saving in this game, so you only have one invisible. This game falls into the brown and gray category that all military shooters since Call of Duty 4 are in. Admittedly, this color palette is more than justified when taking into account the setting of the game. You can't expect Barbie's Funhouse when your childhood friends are getting their legs amputated by hacksaws. Though there is a point where looking at brown and gray becomes as interesting as staring into a bowl of dirt. I mean, what's there to comment on? I guess I can confidently say that the graphics is the best it has ever been in a frictional games game. Though aesthetically speaking, the game is on the same level as a blonde LA girl named Emily that has pumpkin spice latte every morning, aggressively bland. Nothing really stands out. I wouldn't necessarily call it mediocre, just perfectly generic. This one exception is the monster design, which truly baffles me since I haven't the slightest idea how the devs managed to capture exactly how I look in the morning. It's so strange yet so familiar at the same time that its presence in the bunker just feels feasible save file, and your progress is lost if you don't manually create a save in the safe room. This is another element that adds to the intense sense of dread in the game, as your deaths can cost you time and sanity. Just a small mention though, the sanity mechanic from Amnesia The Descent makes a return in this game, but is disguised as the generator fuel mechanic, which feel more realistic to be honest, because how can a person become insane by just standing in the dark? But I spend most of my time indoors and I turn out like this, so you know what, who am I to touch? Oh, and speaking of the fuel mechanic, there's this gameplay element when you can just switch the lights on and off. I think this is to help you save fuel, but I didn't have a lot of time to test this because I was too busy hyperventilating. Though Amnesia The Bunker is quite rough in many aspects, it is still extremely evident that efforts opposite of parasitic React content on YouTube and Twitch was put into the development of the game. Referred to as the franchise pivotal point by Frictional Games, this game is undoubtedly a genuine attempt at innovation, not wanting to repeat the formula set by Amnesia The Dark Descent released 24 years ago. Carrying thought that brings shivers to my spine as I slowly realize that I'm indeed a boomer. Game director Fredrik Olsen mentioned that the team wanted to put the focus of the game on emergent gameplay as well as replay value, while retaining the core essence of the Amnesia franchise that fans have come to appreciate. The point is to make it so that every playthrough brings a new experience and leads to unique moments for each player. In a sense, it's an infinitely rewatchable horror movie. This shift in focus from a linear, handcrafted experience to a procedurally generated one also means that more pressure was put on the gameplay team, who had to step out of their comfort zone and into unfamiliar territory, since before Amnesia The Bunker, no sandbox element were present in any of their games. So basically what this is the location of items and passwords are randomized for each playthrough, so you don't just leisurely throw through the game on your second run. I haven't talked a lot about this sandbox element up to this point, but it's not prevalent enough to make a big fuss about, because everybody's first playthrough would be roughly the same. This bold shift in design philosophy would result in the at times unfair RNG and notoriously wonky monster AI, which so many people felt were some main sources of frustration of the game. Despite not being the crowning achievement that Frictional Games had hoped it would be, Amnesia The Bunker is an experience worth experiencing. Which is why I urge you guys to support the devs by buying the game. But if you are somehow possessing a sense of uncertainty after my totally comprehensible and not at all impossible to follow review, consider grabbing the game on sale. Yeah, I got a point there. If we want to see games with a lot of effort put into them, then we have to support the people who actually try, right? Oh no, not again. Don't talk, just listen. Something bad will happen in your future, but my past. Now I'm traveling back in time to stop it from happening. Telling you anything else will risk the entire operation. I need to go far back after the BioShock Infinite video. You mean the one everybody watching this video should check out? But I just released it a few weeks ago. No, your amnesia is worse than you thought. This is not the first time we've met. I'll have an insane future in your past, and I'm here to guide you and you guys through it. Our fate depends on you watching those videos. Now suit up. The Purple Experience officially starts now.